technology, evolving global market dynamics, and the need for operational efficiency. First, I would like to invite on stage our moderator for this panel discussion. Please put your hands together and welcome Mr. Pavitran M. Kalada, Managing Director, India PSA BDP, a global logistics veteran with 3 decades of expertise. He's a tech logistician turned successful entrepreneur leading his venture to become a market leader and a key player. Welcome, a true innovator and leader with a round of applause. Also, I'd like to invite on stage Mr. Vivek Sharma, President, India Subcontinent and Middle East, Zim Integrated Shipping Services. He holds 20 years of experience in sales, commercial, business development and shipping, port terminal business starting with Sealand Services, USA, and last 8 years with Zim Integrated Shipping. Can we have a round of applause as Sir is here? And now, ladies and gentlemen, let me invite Mr. Amit Tandon, Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director, Asia Shipping India. Mr. Tandon is instrumental in ensuring that Asia Shipping India stays at the forefront of the global shipping industry, offering cutting-edge solutions to meet the evolving needs of their clients. Please welcome him with a round of applause. Next, I'd like to invite on stage Mr. Arush Kishore, Head Integrated Operations Liquid and Gas, Reliance Industries, with 13 years of shaping logistics and business planning. He is the maestro behind the scenes, ensuring the perfect equilibrium of people, processes, and platforms. His expertise spans across managing end-to-end operations, ensuring the seamless transportation, storage, and distribution of liquid and gas products. Can we have a big round of applause as he joins us on the panel? Next, I'd like to invite on stage Mr. Gopinath Vargade, Head Logistics Management, Air Products, India. Mr. Vargade brings a strategic vision to logistics management, focusing on efficiency, cost reduction, and innovation in an increasingly dynamic global environment. His expertise spans across various sectors, making him a key player in the logistics and supply chain ecosystem. Let's welcome him with a round of applause. Next, I'd like to invite on stage Mr. Tushar Wankhede, Supply Chain Capabilities and Planning Leader, Global Emerging Markets, General Mills. With a strong background in supply chain optimization, Mr. Wankhede's expertise spans end-to-end supply chain management, from procurement to distribution, and spans end-to-end supply chain management with the development of innovative solutions to drive operational excellence. Let's have a big round of applause for Mr. Tushar Wankhede. And next, I'd like to invite on stage Mr. Mayur Kapasi, Manager, Customs and Foreign Trade, BASF India. He is responsible for navigating complex customs regulations, optimizing import-export processes, and driving strategies to reduce operational costs while maintaining compliance with local and international trade laws. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a bigger round of applause as we're starting the next panel. The stage is all yours, Mr. Pavitram Kalada. You may lead it, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mohit and Ayushi, for putting up this wonderful show and inviting us. I think we have an eminent panelist here from a diversified background, from a service provider, ocean carriers, and customer perspective. What we are standing in today, uncertainty has become certain, right? Because that's something which is now certain that there is uncertainty around. And then I've been asked to moderate a topic which is talking about productivity and technology. So I think it's a contradicting subject. One way we wanted to achieve productivity in ocean arena, and another way we continue to witness more of disruptions, many challenges across the global ocean area. So I think it's going to be interesting to see the perspective from the eminent panelists. I think without moving into much of a background discussions, I think I will straight away come to see the perspective from our panelists. So we see that uncertainty is quite there every time, right? Every day we see new challenges coming in there, and particularly post-COVID era. And then in those contexts, we also seeing quite increasing demand for bringing OTD to a certain predictable level, right? We see the on-time delivery time is significantly dropped, and then we slightly coming up. But when then again with the new Red Sea area, where I remember I used to talk to customers like Arush, and where I see saying that, hey, we used to see that around 60 to 70 to 90 days. But now even 160 days is not sure about whether I could potentially deliver the material to my end customer. So in those area, how do we see this predictability and this productivity and will come in? How do we navigate? Maybe I will start with Arush. How do you see that?
uh, as a customer who ships out material, exports material, I think we try and focus on vendor relationships. We start focusing on visibility, transparency, and as the theme of the topic is technology, we also try and introduce technology in order to have real-time data transfers between our vendors and us. Uh, given all that is happening in the world in terms of uncertainty, as you so nicely put it, uh, there is a greater need for greater collaboration between us and the vendors. We need to work at new contracting methodologies. We need to work at new ways of sharing our planning, even going right down to say availability of containers, uh, or indeed transport of containers.
Yeah, I think that's actually one way of looking at certain productivity. Like an example, container availability. Now we see all of a sudden the Red Sea crisis comes, the trade is started shifting into a different direction. Then I see coming back into a question saying that from your perspective the containers start moving into a different direction altogether because they're started get stuck in, and then in between we also see getting congested in some of the Southeast Asian area and the Asian ports, and that's actually becoming containers are not easily getting available for a round trip, and the ship's rotation is being reduced. So Gobi, in your perspective, how do you see from these challenges have been navigating in your organization and your perspective in person?
Yeah, Pavi, thank you. So, as you say, uncertainty is certain. With this environment, when especially I will put facts forward on the shipper's point of view. So, in the project logistics, we establish the project and then something is going to come 3 year or 4 year down the line. And these kind of geopolitical issues, these kind of the trade disruptions, what is happening, Red Sea kind of issues coming. Also, you all of have seen that what is happening, the new announcement in the US election, the new Trump is coming and all. So US is also going to impose certain kind of the duties importing goods and the port congestion. So sanctions also allow, it will create another kind of the way to shifting the regionalization from the globalization. So port congestions again not making the real suppliers is viable in context of the project logistics. So this is going to, what is going to happen in that we are going to look for the new procurement or sourcing strategies. We are going to have more closer with the carriers. We are going to have more closer with the freight forwarders, because our kind of the cargo is not regular cargo. It is a project based cargo. So paradigm is getting shifted from globalization to regionalization. So what are the strategic steps? What we as a shipper we are going to take is have the alternative sourcing location. So there was a concept of a just in time. Now we are moving to the just in case. If something happened in one region, is there the supplier in the other region is available? So concept is moving from just in to just in case. That is where more regionalization, sourcing locations. China's global factory is going to move in the other part of the Asian countries. That will create. As a project logistics, as a project owner, we would like to more closer to the actually manufacturing countries. So which will cause more shipping demand on the free issue material at the lesser shipping demand in the finished product in the large scale equipment. So what point is that how to adopt that? So our strategy is going to be like a kind of the proactiveness and more adaptive approach. We need to move it. How we can be the more innovative in the engagement of the, and end of the day, it is going to be the collaboration, how well advanced we plan it, how these are kind of the risks we can mitigate. So punchline is globalization to regionalization towards where we initially it was regionalization, we moved to the globalization. Again, the word is going to move to regionalization. But this only the region is not going to serve the purpose. It has going to be the hybrid concept, and this is going to be a real challenge. And someone should be the adaptable to the new approach. So innovation is going to be key for sustainable to keep our projects or keep our logistic cost within that, with the help of collaboration.
Yeah, I think you are bringing up a very relevant point here because the trade barriers, and also with this because everyone would like to see that I wanted my material to be available for productions or even to my end customer demand has changed because as you'd say that in case customers also started, their minds are not we are not seeing the consumer is changing the mind quite often. So you need to make sure that the materials and the product, which is end products, are available at the shore or at the place as quickly as possible before the end consumer or a customer change the mind, right? So that is actually, you are also saying that that's actually moving into a near-shoring kind of a mindset, right? It's particularly on a project logistics perspective, the planning starts much earlier from where the product has to be procured and then where the engineering has to be done, what kind of a shipping and movement, even sometimes it's the land transportation comes in places. So I think the productivity standpoint, are you seeing an increased lead time from an order perspective? Like an example, if you wanted to go for a product, for a factory where you wanted to look at an EPC perspective, so you are seeing a lead time change, saying that earlier you say maybe 6 months, 7 months, I would probably do it. Now, do you see orders are coming or 12 months or 18 months, a kind of a cycle?
Yeah, definitely lead time is increasing and the cost is also increasing the logistics. So that's why it is putting the more questionable on the project viability. So we are adapting to this new situations, and that's where the very proactive risk management is in the place. And we are trying to accommodate this new lead time is going to in the project schedule, so that eventually we have to revalidate the schedule which was there earlier and adopt this new lead time into the final production even without going project unviable. So that's a real challenge, and that's where the proactive risk management is coming to picture. How we can to be more closer to the freight forwarder carrier with strengthen our relationships and to have more collaboration.
Yeah, Tushar, I remember we were just had a chit chat before we walk into this stage. Some of those initiatives, how you look at this, because you being in a North American based organization, how do you see that those your feedstock support and your product availability you are looking at in terms of how do you bring in those predictable supply and increasing the productivity in terms of your logistics procurement and ocean shipping perspective?
Thank you. Actually, a great question. Before I answer this question, I would like to throw a question to the audience and my fellow panelists. We all go to buy a food product in the grocery store, right? How many of us would look at the expiry date? What is the best before use date for buying a product? I think all of us will do, right?
Yeah.
Extremely important. I think that is a challenge. I belong to food industry, and that is a challenge which food industry is facing. Freshness, the most important aspect. If you look at food supply chain, which in total is contributing to a value of $9.36 trillion, and if I convert that to equivalent volume, almost 59% of that volume is transported through ocean. So ocean plays a very important role in food supply chain today. Imagine a product that is manufactured in Spain and is sold in Japan. Going back to your question, how much time does it take from the production, 2 weeks to the port, 45 days in ocean, another 2 weeks in the port of arrival for clearance, then another 2-3 weeks to the warehouse. So altogether, a product which has a very short shelf life, almost 3 months are gone when the product is available on the shelf for us to purchase. So the lead time plays extremely important role in this industry. This is exactly the reason from the supply chain strategy perspective, when we have such long lead supply chain, we go for made to order. We do not build stock, but we always produce to the actual order that we have from the customer, so that we reduce the lead time, and we are able to provide the best fresh product to our consumer. Now, we know there are so many disruptions happening in the ocean side, right? The Suez Canal impact, the Red Sea impact. I needed 3 months for my product to reach 3 months of shelf life gone, but in reality, 5 months of shelf life is gone because there are so many disruptions happening. So, in that case, there are times when we have to write off the product the moment it reaches the market. We were facing a situation a few months back, or almost a year back, where the impact because of that was to an extent of 1% of our COGS. The most important thing for us was to have the real-time visibility of where our inventory is, and that's where we invested in an AI-powered solution, which started giving us the real-time visibility. At the same time, it also told us the probable date by which the product will reach the market. That gives us sufficient time to respond using in our MTO planning, raise sufficient orders, and then ensure that the backfill inventory is there, and there will be a damage, but we are able to reduce the extent of damage. I think that's where the complexity with the food industry, with the freshness is high, and hence the technology intervention is extremely important, and hence on-time delivery, the most important. That is the number one metric that I will discuss with my partners in whether monthly, quarterly, or whenever we have an annual contracted intervention.
That's a great way of giving some of those example. I think adopting technology to become where you would know the predictive arrival of the materials, and that probably enable you to take, do I need to look at alternative sourcing, or do I tell my end customers I probably will have this delay, which he can factor in his end planning. I think that's actually bringing to my next questions in terms of in fact, post pandemic, one thing which happened is that accelerating the pace of adoption of technology, right? There were technology in the market, but people were shying away whether it can be applied. But then I think the post-COVID and the COVID era actually pushed the adoption of technology. Like an example for our perspective, we brought in few of the technology which customers wanted to see that, hey, it's not just simply just giving me a point A to point B visibility or track and trace. I would probably be now dependent more of disruption. How do I get the visibility of the disruption as quick as possible as a dashboard mechanism? So we brought in terms of our smart navigator, and then we move into a risk monitor, which is actually giving the customer at one touch point, if there are natural calamities which is on the way of the ships which is going in, or if there is any political unrest, if there are labor unrest, because the contributing factor to the productivity and the uncertainty is not just limited to the trade war or a disruption. There are many more components that actually comes in place. So we have seen a quite quickly evolving this technology taking its up. So Mayur, maybe the question to you is that, how do you see the adoption of those technology? But I think the technologies are many available. There are many players. One give you, point A to point B visibility. Somebody will give you, probably giving you a milestone visibility. But end of the day, adopting that technology, quickly integrating to the existing ERP, and then finally giving the business a complete visibility. So in your perspective, how does that work? Particularly, I know you also had your trade compliances and the custom brokerage, and in the ocean product, you also have to see faster clearance and taking out the material to the production side. So maybe you can give some example.
Sure. I
No.
think we live in
My
a-
question was, Vishal, to Mayur. Sorry.
Thanks, Pavi. So I would say that digitalization is the backbone basically, and I think my fellow panelists have already added certain points about the visibility. And to some perspective, what I can say is BSF is into the chemicals, and we touch each and every part of the businesses, be it agrochemicals, be it coating, automotive, dispersion chemicals, or nutrition healthcare chemicals. So for us, the visibility of shipments right from the pickup of the goods from the warehouse plant till it is delivered to the customer, we need to track it. And as you rightly said, post-COVID era, there are technologies available. We also had one of the technology which we are actually hiving off, and we started on a new project of setting up a technology which is having the data connecting from ERP, earlier Aarthi, nowadays HANA, and we want to track from the perspective of the purchase order or a sales order and from the shipment perspective, because finally you have various tools available from the fragmented basis. So shipping line has its own tool in terms of tracking shipments. Could be FCL. Certain LCL shipments are being tracked, but not all FCL carriers are able to track the shipments. Air shipments, again, you are able to track it, but it does not give that particular lead time, because if there is a delay, it does not give that particular message that there is going to be an issue if there is a delay. So what we are going to do, we are going to have a system which is a centralized system, and have it is connected to the ERP, and also if each local country has a solution which is kind of visibility from arrival port till it is delivered to the customer, the track and trace solution is also inbuilt into this particular solution. So if you put that if a customer puts the purchase order, they are able to get that particular visibility when the cargo will arrive to the location. Even if there is a delay, alert goes to them. So this is something what we have been working on, and just to tell you, it helps the customers and to us in terms of giving the on-time delivery, tracking the transport reliability, delivery reliability, and lots of benefits to the customers. With respect to tracking of the delay, we also have as you rightly said, if there is a disruption happens, the important part is how it can be visible to the various stakeholders, be it importing country, be it shipping country, because there are many disruption happens, not only geopolitical, the trade compliance barriers. Each country has trying to brought in, like the India, they have brought in the quality control orders, the various FTAs requirements, documents. There are Indonesia, which have brought in the process of submitting the composition chemical cache numbers while declaration. So those are the barriers, because no one wants to share their particular composition to the trade, which could is the confidential data. So those details needs to be informed to the various communities within the BASF across all the global region. We have the disruption managers, and each and every country puts there. It could be the port strike, which I think there is a port strike being planned on 17 December by the JNP and port strikers. So those visibility needs to be there, and that's where I think the action can be taken, and it will help the trade. Thanks.
No, I think strike I used to hear, normally I thought of, early part of my career, I believe that the strike is only happen in India, because I thought of the strike doesn't happen in the Western world as such. But recently I see that the strike impact is much larger when it's happened in North American continent, right? When it's in North America, the impact is much larger, because the more vessel queue up, and the cleaning up that and getting back to normal is a challenge, and then actually accelerate that cost escalation. But anyway, to continue with those discussion, it's an interesting to see what Vivek's perspective, because I think, Vivek Sharma, your perspective in terms of career, what we see, how much is the technology adoption, and I also see rotation keep changing now in one or the other way, and then you put a technology with anticipating this is a way which I could probably configure my systems, and this is the way I could potentially bring my efficiency and productivity in ocean carrier operation perspective. But then all of a sudden you see the trade is shifting into different directions, right? So how do you cop up, and what are some of the use case examples which probably you can narrate?
Good afternoon, everyone, once again. It's great to be here among all the panelists. And I think after the first round of discussion, what I'm hearing, there is a lot of burden which I'm feeling on my shoulders. So, guys, I will try to do whatever best I can answer, or we can showcase from our side as a carrier. What we are looking at, as you rightly started by saying that disruptions are a part of life. We can't change it. Something which is beyond our control is let's leave it then and there. I think there are better people who will organize and who will manage that kind of a scenario. When coming into the business side from a career perspective, I think if you see in the last post-COVID era, as such, if I talk about Zim especially, we have done a lot of changes, especially on the technology side. I think digitalization was the key buzz all across in our organization. And it is among, I think, all the industry, I would say, shipping carrier leaders. We were trying to provide solution to our customers, keeping them at their place, ease of doing a business, whether we talk about the online bill of lading facilities, or if today we are talking about a blockchain which talks about complete digital solutions, there is not even a paper involved in the future. We are looking at EDOs, we are looking at EBLs, we are looking at even going further in the future, especially, one of the concern raises about the visibility, right? We are trying to get into the structure that we have the visibility of the containers on your mobile. So we are looking at the pilot, wherein we'll be putting up a tracker on our, even the dry containers, leave aside the reefers. We started with the reefers, I think. Zim was the first one who come up with the reefer technology for the tracking. But now we are upgrading it to even the dry containers as well. So this is some of the initiative which we are taking as a carrier to give more and more visibility to our customers, because it's not even just in time, actually. You're right. The cargo is there on the way. The customer should know where it is reaching. What is the lead time? Because today we don't know. Red Sea could be one. Suez Canal could be something second. Now the Cape is the option which we are using. And please, all the people who are sitting over here, all the industry stakeholders, it is important to understand today that for every service which we are running, and I think this applies to everyone, it is not the same service pattern which we need to have earlier. We have almost like 30 to 40% more ships deployed in the same service. So there is a lot of cost factor which is involved. We are trying to manage the best possible solution for our customers. We are trying to see that the delays are minimal, and we fully understand the supply chain, that it is very imperative that the cargo is reaching on time, or at least whatever we commit at that time. So there is a partial commitment from our side. And as I said, there is something which is beyond our control, so let's avoid that topic. But we will continue to see how we can provide the best of the solutions to our customers. Sustainability is again a word. In 2020, post-COVID, I think 2021, we ordered the ships for the green fuel. So today we are operating like many vessels with the LNG. The whole idea was that how to cut down the cost from the carrier perspective and pass on the benefit to our customers. That's the whole objective. Because everybody knows that compared to the ships which earlier used to run on a fuel, right, we are changing it to the LNGs. We are trying to see how we can expand our market coverage into different trades. And the most important, which is coming up, people are looking for alternate routes, right? This is one of the pre-discussion we had. So we are looking at now going further even, cutting down the traditional routes and do something unconventional. So Latin America, Central America, Africa, this could be the alternate routes in the future if we are in the same world where we are today. So I think it's the whole idea is to be innovative, right? We can't cry on the problems. We have plenty. So don't cry on that. Let's try to find the best available solutions, what we can do.
I think great perspective, Vivek, on that. Maybe, Amit, on your contest, as we are seeing this changing trade pattern, the capacities is shifting from one route to other route, and we are also seeing new additions and the mega ships, which is basically taking. We also seeing the regulatory framework, which is particularly in terms of, I know Europe is going to increase by 70% the carbon tax as we walk into 2025. So what are those things which you are seeing in ocean side, and which is actually impacting the predictability and productivity? And then probably technology is an answer to the problem? Or is that is because I think most of the time I have seen across the world say, hey, here is the technology that's going to solve all the problem what is existing. And then we start jumping into conclusion that technology is an answer to many problems. So how do you look at that?
Well, thank you. First of all, technology is a very integral part of from the standpoint that we are from, especially when we are talking about visibility for the clients and then visibility being given by the carriers. So we are service providers in between both of them. What we can do is twofold. So what we're doing internally and what we're doing externally. Internally, the most important thing for us is training our team the right way. Communication is to be done the right way with the client. On the other side of it, when we're talking about the clients, we are investing very heavily in technology, which is ERP systems, track and trace, whereby the customer gets full visibility of what is happening with their cargo. Then Vivek also mentioned about blockchain technology. We are using the same in order to give full transparency to our customers in terms of what is happening. Digitalization is another word that we've been talking about. We have taken the lead. Our head office in Brazil has launched a digital platform which is going to be launched in India very soon, where time is no limit. So customers, wherever they want to see where their cargo is, their documentation, their invoices, their past shipments, what the trends were, everything will be online, and they don't have to wait to speak to us over the phone. It can be done 24 hours. On the other side of it, the most important thing I feel today is for a service provider is to provide full transparency and service to our clients. And especially in this world today, and AI plays a very, very important role. We have incorporated at Asia Shipping a lot of AI technology and robotics, whereby minimizing human intervention in terms of replying to customers and checking documentation internally.
So I think that's bring to my next question. Not only the question, I would probably take a view from fellow panelists. Like we see increasing adoption of technology, but I think that also bringing higher chance of disruption, because we have seen cyber attack is increasingly coming into the space, and that actually disturbing. I recently had to fly because I was always been on a digital boarding pass, and when I reached to the airport, I say that it's not working. I need to get a manual boarding pass to get into the flights. It's just recent because of some systems globally got So that's again very relevant to the topic which we are discussing in terms of one way we are seeing that we wanted to see productivity, but most of the panelists is coming with one thing is saying that, hey, I probably all technology adoption, using the best alternative routes or alternative supplier base or near sourcing. But then still, I don't see that we are bringing down the lead time, right? Because we have been habituated by 2019 and behind, where we say that 60 days, probably 2 days, 3 days here and there, but I'm sure that 63rd day, 65th day, I would probably see my material. But today, I believe everyone is basically saying, hey, putting technology to see that at least I should know what is happening in my material. Do I have a control on my supply chain? I think, Arish, for your perspective, I believe you also have a huge volume which is moving around the world. And how do those things coming into in this place?
Yeah, thanks, Pavitra, for the question. You're absolutely right. The lead times have become totally unpredictable, etc. So have the freights, and and that's primarily to do with the political disruptions that we are seeing in the world. The way we see it, the secular trend that has been in the industry for the past 1 decade has been, from our perspective, overcapacity. So every time you see a disruption, you see freights going up sharply. But every time one of those issues gets solved, the freights come down equally sharply and settle down towards the trend line. So we don't see that going away anytime soon, or that trend line changing anytime soon. The other trend that we see in shipping is that for customers like us, the solutions will have to come from the market. So even if you go outside into the trade show, you will see a lot of Turkish companies presenting their services. Now, that is because today they are offering a solution to Europe, which is unmatched by anybody else. Having seen this development in the market, now we are looking at service reliability offerings by European carriers who still want to use the Cape of the Good Hope but are offering 80% service reliability going forward. And they are forming coalitions of their own in order to service that market demand. There are geopolitical and trade related disruptions that are also now current, and we see those exacerbating as the new administration takes over in the US. For example, if you look at the freight to America from Korea to China, I think the Korean freight is like 10 times more than what the Chinese freight to the same coast is. And that reflects the geopolitical challenges that impact on infrastructure that has already been created over the past 3 decades to service a certain kind of economy. So these are the challenges. These will take time to unravel. And technology, the elephant in the room is AI. Companies like mine, and I'm sure all of ours, will find the biggest buck in long LPs. But the real debottleneckers would be if, for example, AI can be used to create an RFP and even collate it, or AI solves or makes my empty pickup and return more efficient. Or AI helps me choose a route which is available globally to best service my client.
So I think you also bring in another thing is basically saying that, like, example, you're seeing changing lanes and disruption, bringing more solutions from a different bucket altogether. I agree. Like we could see lot of regional shift, a lot of NVOCCs, a lot of small mid-term carriers emerging to feed. Because I was looking at some of the data, which is basically seeing the container volumes, which is actually speaking a lot of inter-Asia. Like, and if you look at from China moving into Vietnam to India, so Indian subcontinent. So there is a lot of shift which is happening in terms of the carrier rotations and the bit. But at the same time, we are also seeing that the infrastructure in some continent, particularly in Europe and US, is mostly 30 years of old. The new ports are not as modernized what we see in the Asian terminals. But at the same time, these big ships coming up, and then they probably can't call all the port. So they will probably have to be looking at the feeders coming into the main port and then taking into the long tube. And so maybe next question to Gobi is saying that, like, do we see that actually the community, shipper community, or I would say the user community, is now talking to the carriers, and normally it's the time to look at long-term contract? Because I remember before COVID, customers say that who can win the business is someone who can give a longer validity. But today, is that stand-in, and how do you all, looking at the procurement perspective, is there anything which you think that, and I know projects particularly comes in, you fix it, the estimation, you put all those costs, and it's looking at the pricing, and then all the equations start shifting. But how do you say that you do have one spot procurement, or you do long term? How does that happens on your arena?
So as Vivek already said, there is no point in crying on the situations. We have to adopt the situations and find out the solutions. So because of this, many of the disruptions, it creates another avenue for opportunity. Like technology has coming at very faster way, which is anyway helping in the shipper point of view, whom our organization or EPC organization to build up these kind of predict what is going to happen at a certain extent and leaving the room for certain kind of the contingency. So with new structure or new certain, which is the uncertainty is certain, old contract style is definitely is not going to work, and it's not working since 2020 when the COVID has started. So we are also, as a SIPR point of view, we are framing a new contract, leaving a room for a flexibility, adaptability when the situation changes. So dealing with the more freight forward, more carriers, having our contracts clauses are added into the flexibility when the situation gets changed, so we can still work with the same contractor or same forwarder. So today the Red Sea crashes. If she is the basic freight X, and shipping line has added Red Sea surcharges, so someone has just closed the contract on fixed rate. This is not going to work. Okay, and the middle of the or peak of the project, you start searching the another forwarder, another carrier. It's not going to work. It impacts on the both sides. Both are on the lose-lose conditions. So if you want to win-win, so we are keeping that room to enhance the contract. So new framework of the contract is only the way, adopting the new approach, accepting the new situations, predicting something is coming. So supply chain resilience, see the things what is coming, be prepared for it. A new situation hits to you, get that new solution adoptable. That's only the way as most of the large EPC contractor has adopted, because our project is not like it's started and it goes for next 5 years. We cannot keep on changing. There is so much things. And the point I would like to add more on the technology, what we were discussing about. Each one is doing better on their pocket. Shipper side, we are doing better. Fabricator are doing better. Carriers are doing better. They are heavily investing on the technology. Each one in better and better every day, reducing the cost, investing on the technology. But again, each technology on their own pocket, best in the class, but not entire the supply chain is talking each other. There is the kind of the issues like a trust issues there, cyber security is there. Then my system, I want to give the access to you, but I don't believe how my information will be used. So that trust has to be removed. And when till the man-to-man contact is there, that trust will not be removed. Where the machine learning, artificial intelligence is going to work. Blockchain has been talked a lot, but then getting into the real reality is still long way. But definitely there will be intelligent people working on that, and that days will not fall. So these kind of the disruption, it can be predicted at a certain level. So coming to back to your point, yes, we are adopting to the new situation, new framework of the contract clauses to sustain.
Okay, so ideally, what you are saying is that please adopt technology and understand what is it coming on your way. So please ensure that, I think that's something which is also very important to see that, right? Because we train our people most of the time saying that, like, look at what is in hand and then start working on it. But now I think the new way of looking at it is that please see that bringing predictive analysis, artificial intelligence and machine learning to see that what could potentially is coming on your way. Prepare yourself with alternative solutions, be ready for it. So I think that is where bring up a bit of a productivity and productivity can be estimated.
Yeah, exactly. And then we are linking our contract with the certain shipping index. If the rate goes high, shipping index goes. So the forwarder or the person to how we have the contract is not only the telling lie, but this whole world is going upward trend. How we can work on what the rate is finalized 1 year back, when the rate is 3x or 4x or 5x today in the certain situation. So we're linking with certain index, Shanghai Shipping Container Index or Drewry Index or all those. These are the changes we're adopting as a shipper side so that's a productive and adaptive approach is the only the solution I can say.
So I think considering that we have another few minutes, and I just shift the gear saying that, like, I think we have many problems, many challenges, and many moving parts in the ocean transportation across, whether it is ocean to ocean, ocean to land, end to end. But sitting on that problem is not going to give us a solution, right? So what are the stakeholders? That's when I say stakeholders is that an industry as a whole, even I'm included in that community. And then as a user and production and the shippers and consignee, and of course the statutory bodies like government. So do we see some of those initiatives? What are those initiatives which is actually taking, which you believe will bring in bit of predictable future? Or what is it that government initiatives or other private agencies initiative which is actually bringing in an improvement? Like we have seen coastal transportation is increasingly promoted to sea. So do we think that, and plus some of PLI scheme bringing in a lot of manufacturing into the country, which is probably increase, and we are also seeing that can we get so probably I would like to see each one of you giving a quick 1 minute of thought. What is this things coming in? We are also seeing near shore with the feedstock which is coming from Middle East, Saudi corridor, what we are government of India is taking initiative to see. So how those things are shaping up to bring in more control, or at least to bring in much more matured future in this current situation? So maybe I will start from Mayur. You can quickly put on that, and each one of you can give a perspective from a career and customer perspective.
All right. So basically, what my thoughts would be as a as a MNC, BASF, what we want to have a conducive environment for both business setup of the plant, the availability of the land, which is able to support the manufacturing of both DG non-DG cargo, and that's where the regulation comes into picture, and the smooth movement of cargo, both in terms of pack and the bulk. Because just to give you an example, you might have heard about the isocyanate, and the crude isocyanate, moving crude MDI or methyl isocyanate is very dangerous, and producing that and transporting it takes a lot of safety measures. So the port facility which the government is trying to build in terms of end-to-end availability of all the resources in the port, right from port, FTWZ, warehouses, last mile delivery, and that processing unit, that will help to support the organization like us for becoming India as a focus in terms of investment.
Yeah, I want to challenge by saying I think we live in the world where we have more solutions than the problems. Here, if you go to any single placement, every placement that we have here is selling some solution, right? But having said that, specific to the Indian context, I think we need an infrastructure boost. If you look at the last mile cost in India, logistics is 40%, which is very different, which is almost reverse in the developed economies. So something like PM Gati Shakti is going to be game changer when we implement that. It will complement with all the solutions that we have on the ocean side, and together we will see a great transformation in reducing the logistics cost. I think we, from working in private organizations, should adopt to the technologies and the solutions which are coming there, work with all the stakeholders, and look at end-to-end value chain rather than just focusing on how we are deriving value vis-a-vis others in the value chain.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will keep it short. So best is how we can put up the more investment on the infrastructure betterment. So port, so there are many private players can come forward. Second, more investment on technology to bring the certainty to the uncertainty. Create more visibility of our cargo. That gives the end project site planning, and more closer relations with the entire supply chain partners, where I'm talking about the collaboration. And fourth point, I would say the more adaptable to the new situation. Instead of crying, as Vivek said, just adopt it and move on. So I would talk about the logistics resilience. That these are the few points. And when we bring out the solution as an innovative way, we solve the today's problem with the new solution and creates tomorrow's problem. So we have to think a little bit beyond that. Solving the today's problem, we are not creating tomorrow's problem, but it's kind of the good ecosystems for a longer duration, at least to some sustainable years. So that is what something I would like to see as an entire chain or logistic fraternity to collectively find a solution to. I also don't know how, but that's a wish list. Okay.
I think I totally agree with my friends here. We need more of everything. We need more ports, we need more roads, we need the DFC connectivity, we need more callings at our ports. I think in this case, instead of lagging, the supply has to lead here. That is what is required. On a personal front, a secular trend again in India is that our manufacturing exports will keep rising year after year, year after year. And in order to service that in the best possible way, I think there is a need for a domestic flagged carrier.
I think I was just about to say that, right? I could see when the post-COVID and in fact last one and a half years, we are seeing the government saying that, hey, we would like to look at Indian flag or Indian-owned ships, which is actually cater the increasing demand for our, and also fulfilling our ambitions of being a global manufacturing, global factory, right? End of the day, from a 3.84 trillion economy, we wanted to move into the second largest economy soon. In that direction, if we go, are we finding an answer by saying that, hey, by having an Indian on, and we had one which was been very effectively been running, I think, post earlier, but we decided to divest and move on. But is that going to be an answer? Or do you think that, I think the next three of you, I would like to see that, probably your perspective, having an Indian flag, and then similar way, I think we don't forget that the trade is, because we probably put our ships here to US, and then we see the shipment is going into different directions. So,
So no, I see the point that you're bringing, Azad. But Indian flag doesn't need to mean government of India.
so that, I think it's a very summed up answer. Yeah.
Yes, I totally agree with him. First and foremost, very important that infrastructure is built up. It is enhanced. Like we're talking about new ports coming in with more automations over there. Most importantly, ease of doing business, having clarity in regulations, taxation, GST being the biggest challenge we all are facing at this point in time, because it's not black or it's white, it's gray. So having more clarity in how you're doing business with the government, having better infrastructure, and definitely what you're saying, look at China, they have their own flagship carrier. India should definitely, going forward, have a flagship carrier, whether it is owned by the government or it is a collab between the government and a private player. And I'm sure doing that will take India into the next level, for sure.
Vivek, you. I think if I have to sum it up, what all we are discussing.
I don't want to put you on the spot being in a multinational.
I'm seriously enjoying it. So I think the most important, and the most important why I'm saying it, because one, we are in this conference, I think the people who are showcasing, who are meeting and interacting with each other, the most important thing which I feel personally is that there is a lot of connect. We are really serious about our industry, right? That's most important. We are positive, we are optimistic, we are looking at solutions. The most important at this point of time, as I said, we need to be very, very open. We need to be very candid. We need to be open for the new ideas. We need to be looking at the challenges ahead, because I think this is not going to stop as per our wish, right? Of course, we want the best of the world, that everything is going very smooth, but it will not happen in the immediate future. Adaptability is the key right now for our business. And I feel every stakeholders, whether we talk about a shipping line, we talk about a freight forwarder, we talk about shippers, consignees, CFS, port, I think this is high time that we have the mindset to adapt to technology. That's very, very important right now. I understand, from one perspective that there is a lot of investment in the technology, but I think going forward, and we can't be scared of the cyber attacks, I think we are smart enough to counter cyber attack now, right? I think the people who are into the technology business, they're looking at how to counter it also. So we have to find alternate solutions. We should know as a company how to counter the cyber attacks. We are looking at the next level of growth for India, right? Everybody is talking India as the next China, right? So I think this is high time all of us, all the stakeholders, have that mindset that we can change the fortunes going forward. Logistics, supply chain, and I fully agree, compared to the China and some other regions of the world, our cost on the logistics is very high. So I think all the stakeholders has to come together. Dedicated freight corridor, we are looking at very soon opening up. The more ports which is coming up, the transshipment ports which is on the way now in the southern part of India. So I am very positive that the things will change for the betterment. The only thing is that we need to be agile and we should be ready to adapt that change.
Yeah, I think if I probably look at sum it up, I think in terms of our core point, that's actually where do we see productivity, where we see technology. I think there is a significant portion which come from integrating the entire ecosystem. That's basically having said that, because when we look at the 13 trillion economy of China, which have 300 million TEU output capacity in terms of terminal and ecosystem evolution, intermodal, intertrucking, river connectivity, and then we have 20 million. So India is with 20 million. So you can see the parity between the two economy. So though I hate bringing China as a comparison, but then what exactly bring in, what could we learn from it, right? I think probably our ambitions are much larger in a shorter term. So what we do in terms of 20 million to reach 300 million capacity, when we reach that, do we have an ecosystem which give us evacuation as well as exit from the gateway terminals to the hinterland? And needless to say, I think everybody witnessed the pendulum is shifting in terms of manufacturing, right? We could see earlier say that, okay, maybe Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Gujarat, but now you see new industrial corridors have been bringing up. And with the new policy, which is well defined with the clear targets, bringing up freight corridor, MMLPs, and ICDs, waterways, coastal shipping. So how do we all these things which are basically in building process, right? Which is not even a matured ecosystem. One way we have this new ecosystem logistics infrastructure building up. Other way, we are talking about how do we India position ourselves into the global trade, positioning to gear up to become a global factory. We see the way the solar is energy and the gigafactories are building up, EVs, hydrogen. So I think the solution lies is that how quickly we continue to create that ecosystem which generate faster turnaround, reduce the lead time, automatically that bring down the cost and increase the predictability and visibility. And that lies the end objective of what we have actually defined, where we see the productivity and the technology embedded into and finally deriving a sustainable commercial outcome. And that position India into the global market to be a globally competitive for our products so that we can take more international market share. At the same time, which all this infrastructure as it get matured will also reduce our logistics cost within the country, even to make the product available at the customer door as quickly as possible. So I think that's where if I need to sum it up in this discussion, and thank you again. So we have 5 minutes, 6 minutes, I believe. So we can take three questions.
Hi.
Yeah, there.
Sorry, yeah. Hi, I'm Vaishali Nyote from Blue Jay Aerospace. Thank you so much for that conversation, quite enlightening. So just expanding the scope of the panel discussion, maybe also targeting a subset, which is the offshore support vessel industry as part of, logistics. Consider that you have a mini helicopter-sized drone, which is essentially an unmanned, sustainably fueled aircraft. If you had access to something like that, for that to make inroads into this industry, with the caveat that you see use case, and this is a question for all of you, what would it take from the regulatory operational standpoint. Vivek ji, of course, talked about appetite or mindset, for change. But what would it really take, for something like this to be introduced?
So, anyone wanted to take this question? Mayur, you would like to?
So this is the unmanned delivery using the drones and all that for the delivery of the last mile. Probably you are talking about.
No, but this is because I specifically said mini helicopter size. So the payload would be higher. Let's assume, say, 100 kg. Still not as much in terms of, the kind of quantities that a ship would take. But just as an offshore support piece, quick in and out, let's say 40 nautical miles or double-digit nautical miles. It goes, comes back, goes, comes back. Just to support the offshore vessel use case. How would this or what would it take for something like this to make inroads into this industry, if there is appetite, given that caveat?
So I think this kind of model would surely work in the coastal movement because just I will give you my example. We have plants in Dahej, we have plants in Mangalore, and when we took a round, we were searching the coastal shipping players, truly coastal shipping players who can support the on-time delivery as well and who can also support in terms of sustainability. Because finally the scope 3 is also reduction of the emission that comes on as a BSF as an MNC. So this should help. But if this idea is put into in terms of connecting because India has a lot of the ports, the connecting. If it can connect and it can give a true solution, I think the MNCs like us would be surely look for it. Thanks.
Yeah, maybe I probably just add on what Mayur said is that any solution which will be adopted by the industry or by the government is as long as there is a commercial viability could be attached to it. Because as you rightly said, because it's maybe a 20-ton payload. I would say when you look at the helicopter side and you need to have an adequate fuel which is to be put in, maybe a 20-ton payload from a 40 nautical miles landing station to bring into the shore, and then what commercial viability which we will bring in, right? And what material it is going to apply. So I think it's not just simply a solution which give an answer to the industry to adopt, but also at what type of an industry, at what price. That's one. Second thing is that, yes, the regulatory framework, right? Because you have, whether it is a manned drone or whether it's unmanned, right? So then its question comes in, do we have an infrastructure to land and deliver, right? We have seen even the e-commerce has been adopting, but the smaller one doing the packet. So I think there are a lot of infrastructure and ecosystem which need to be put in places. Regulatory frameworks first, saying that do we have a flying permit? Do we have a safety parameters which have been done? I think the best people are the government of India where this idea can work. Second thing is that which type of an industry are you targeting? I can understand in terms of offshore, like we look at wind energy which is going to come in offshore wind energy, you probably like to see that because you have kept material to be reached in the offshore wind, because if a one day production gets stuck, there is a lot of money which is in the stake. Or even an offshore drilling platform, where you would like to see that the drilling materials as well as the offshore material has to be reached first. I think there is a target takers, and that's where the focus should come in. I think I answered what exactly you are looking at.
I have just one point to add. Just check the scalability. That's very, very important actually. Today it is not about creating a product or a service. It's all how many people are adapting or are ready to take it. So it is important that if you are thinking on those lines, if you ask me personally, there is a lot of potential for this in the domestic. I don't know offshore with the government regulations because it is beyond, I would say, the waters, right? So you're going in a different territory and doing it. But I think if you want to explore something within the India, there should be some potential for this, for sure.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am Captain Jasmeet Chauhan and I am from Indian Armed Forces. So from my previous experience, I want to share something with you. Sir, you said, Mr. Tandon, this is for you. You said AI system. Yeah, we have to put in when we talk about the AI system. But sometimes AI system, I'm talking about from my previous experience, right, sir? So sometimes AI also is the cause of disruptions. Now I'm talking about the drones with ocean freights. So I think providing training is one part, but working and investing on the R&D part, I think that is the most important thing.
I totally agree with you. We do not create anything in AI. We use AI technology which is already there and incorporate that in the software or the ERP that we are working in. Right? I totally agree that there is disruption as well. But again, as we've been speaking, even in the last session and this session, just because there is disruption doesn't mean you cannot adapt to new technology. So,
This was just a suggestion.
Yeah.
My question is to Mr. Mayur. My question is for you, actually. So when we talk about blockchaining, now today I'm representing Indus Towers Limited, and I am looking after the logistics for Delhi NCR. A few days back, we ordered lithium-ion battery cells, basically, and that was through the ocean freight. Now, my question to you is, sir, when we talk about blockchaining, I agree, it provides total transparency. But when we talk about the custom part, customs, especially when custom checks are unpredictable, it takes a lot of time. Now, I come from an industry where our lead time is 99.999%, and I am allowed only 0.1% leverage. And AI, if you talk about internet, everything works on the passive infra or the networking, towers. So, sir, anything you would like to bring light upon? How can we manage this? The time which the customs take, or maybe the unpredictability of customs?
So the product that is question is the lithium ion batteries, and that is a very regulated product.
It's just an example.
Okay, fine. So what I can say from my perspective is the visibility of the regulations from the custom perspective and adapted to it in terms of managing your lead time is very important. Now, considering a blockchain, one of the example of blockchain is rightly said, the document which is uploaded in the shipping country, which is exporting country, and the same document receiving here in India, there is you cannot change it. It's so here the blockchain can come into picture from the perspective of FTA issuance. This was a suggestion given by us to the government during the review we had during Delhi, wherein we had suggested that for a short transit time, if you want to ensure that the FTA which are issued and correctness of the FTA, there should be a blockchain within the two countries, and whatever the data which is going there from the Korea to India or from any of the countries which are part of FTA should be error-free, and this is the right place where the blockchain can be involved. And secondly, from the perspective of how the lead time can be ensured that you are able to predict the lead time, 99.9, because that's a Six Sigma level we are talking about. The lead time from the ocean perspective, the lead time from the clearance perspective, this needs to be envisaged in terms of ensuring the end-to-end lead time from the custom clearance perspective is being studied, and whatever the regulation of customs is there, you should know, you in the sense your partner should know in advance, and they should support you in fulfilling all the regulatory requirements. So here the knowledge, the perspective of regulatory, and also from the perspective of getting it right time from the clearance perspective would help.
Yeah, I think I think it's I probably will take you back three years down back. Where were the custom clearance lead time? Right, it was much more than what.
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting in between, but I'm from Indian Army, and I was in the Corps of Logistics, Ordnance, right? So we used to deal with Russian arms and ammunition, and they used to come by air freight. But there were no such issues at that point of time. I'm talking about long back, 10 years back. Now that I have, this is my experience with the corporate sector. Why the lead time is absolutely as per the timelines when we talk about the defense forces or government, and why now it is taking a lot of time. My question was this to you.
Why? Because you have various, the regulatory green channel status, and all those are given to the corporates. Now, if I compare the defense cargo and if I compare the corporate cargo, earlier it could be, there could be reissues in terms of clearance lead time more for corporate. But if I see last 5 years to 7 years, the lead time for clearance earlier used to be 5 days, now it is less than 2 days. So in terms of hours, I am talking about. Why? Because customs have given a lot of regulatory approval, the green channel status, the AEOs and all that. So I can say from my perspective, I am right now able to clear 95% of shipments within 2 days. So this is what my track record is there. But if there is an entity who is not having any regulatory support or any regulatory leeways from the customs,
they will surely take more than what I am taking.
So appreciate what we can do. We can take it to offsite, and we are here. I don't. I can definitely have a one-on-one discussion so that
I'll do
we
that.
we give the time because we are between the lunch and the session. Thank you. It's a very relevant point. We will take it to offsite.
Thank you so much, sir, for addressing
Thank
this.
you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a great discussion. I think we should have a big round of applause for all our lovely panelists and moderator. This was such a future-ready exploration of the ocean freight industry.